Hello everybody, my name is Julian and welcome to another dev diary for my game Lens Island. I have lots of cool new stuff to show you all in the caves and dungeon areas that I think you're really going to like. So it's a pretty cool episode. I'm going to be showing all of the feedback that I've implemented over the past sort of week or so. I've been pretty busy. As you may have noticed, I actually skipped last week's video. And I'm just going to say off the bat, if you haven't wishlisted the game already, go in the description, wishlist the game. It greatly helps out the whole launch going forward. But a lot of you talked about torches and if Len will hold a torch or if there should be a light sort of around him at all times. So there will be torches. Also some weapons will glow as well, like you can see here. This is sort of what a torch could look like as far as the light that it would give off. So I just sort of put a little point light in front of him to show. But all of this area is new. You can see that I've actually gone through and detailed this whole sort of altar and hallway area. Actually, I'll turn the light back off so you can see it, how it will be properly. And I think it looks really, really nice. I absolutely love the lighting in this area. It took a long time to get it perfect and get it right. And it's still not fully done or anything. You may notice there's some parts still not finished, though I'm really, really happy with how this area is turning out. Even just the little subtle things like the little gleam on the stone, on the pillars, and how there's a tiny bit of metallicness to the stone and it likes to shine. And then going into this altar area, you may notice this is much more detailed than before. I made tons of new assets. I made this whole little sort of grid-like pattern down below. We've got some water and sunbeams and archways and pillars and tons of new stuff in that area, and as well all sorts of new stuff in the dungeons in general. So if we walk up here for a second, this is the first sort of enemy encounter in the dungeons. It does look pretty dark. It's supposed to be dark, which is sort of the whole sort of vibe, where we've got these sort of light stone runes that are there, and then it's like the darkness has sort of latched on to the power of the light, and they've sort of made these eggs around them, and it's sort of the darkness is spreading out, and that's where the enemies will actually spawn from. So this is one of the very first sort of enemy encounters in the game. You can see I just made these little meshes, applied a sort of a shader that just deforms the mesh and pulsates it, makes it look a bit more alive, like it's actually moving. And then I've actually just got a decal system that I'm using to actually project decals downwards. So this one's just like a black sort of fade, which makes the area look darker. And then I've got this other one here, which is actually like an animated sort of ripple effect that actually makes it look like there's some sort of like pulsation of energy, darkness stuff coming out. And then I've got a third particle effect, which I place just over the top of each sort of egg sac thing, which I sort of drag out here. And you can see this is sort of that wispy sort of smoke effect. And I made it like this because I wanted to steer away from that sort of gooey alien vibe and make it more of sort of dark, ethereal sort of soul creature sort of thing. And these will be, like I said, the first enemy encounter. So these will be sort of egg sac things that you'll have to destroy, and they'll keep spawning enemies. But look, there's a whole bunch that's been done to the caves and the sort of the dungeon area, as you can see. So I'm just going to go through it and go through all the feedback that I've implemented as well. The other thing someone actually mentioned, a few people mentioned, was just lighting up the cave entrance so it looks like the light is passing through. Super simple thing. I don't know why I didn't think of it, but thanks so much for that idea. And then moving on to the light that comes through here in the circular room is actually making that match the time of day. So this is what afternoon light could look like. And then we also have night light as well. So what I'll do is I'll actually set this up properly. So I'll make it so the light colors and the sunbeams and everything actually like lerp and fade over time. If it's in the middle of the day, it'll have the normal daylight. If it's in the afternoon or the nighttime, the light, any light that you'll see in this top level of the cave will actually sort of match that. So I'll just be quiet for a second so you can hear this. So that is the new sort of what I'm calling stingers. Our audio designer Lars calls them stingers. That's just what I'm calling them. And these are little rocks and rubble and stuff all around the world that you can just knock over. If you run past it, the world will react to it. Really simple, but I just think little elements like that make a big impact to immersion in the game. So I just created a simple system where we can add all sorts of elements that will react to the player as you move by them. I've had various people mention the hotbar and sort of redesigning that as well. So I did actually work to redesign that slightly, making it a bit more subtle, also moving it aligned to the left-hand corner rather than the middle, really just trying to make it a bit less full on. I dialed back the colors, made it a bit more grayscale, and moved the sort of the colored item groups to as like a fade rather than changing that whole outline color. The ability icons won't be solid colors. They'll have a little sort of icon that will match that color. So it will also be dialed back even more. I might change the health and food bar a little bit too, but I'm definitely liking that a lot more than what it was. And leading on from that, I've also had lots and lots of people talk about lighting in the caves, because that was something that I haven't been sure about for a while. And then now I've sort of basically come to the conclusion that the only lighting I'm going to use in most of the caves is lightstone. So this is an example of some runes. Obviously it's super basic scene, nothing really detailed going on, but like you saw earlier, these are lightstone runes, and they're surrounded by the darkness, so they don't give off a whole lot of light, but I will have these runes and various sources of lightstone all throughout the caves that will give off that light. And what you can see here is something a little bit more interesting. So this is also, I want to get all of your opinion on this and see what you think. So the idea behind what you can see here is once you finish a level and finish the whole level of the dungeon and defeat the boss, it sort of lifts the curse on that level of the cave, and it makes the lightstone glow yellow and start to spawn sort of nature around it. So this is that altar that I showed previously in the video. So this is an example of what it could look like if, you know, these 3 dungeons have been unlocked and then the last 2 haven't been unlocked, so they still show that blue color. These examples are just drafts, so I'll make them look even better, but I really just wanted to get all of your guys' ideas on if I should add this or not. The reason being is because it's going to be a lot of work to implement it, and I want to be 100% sure that it is something that will be enjoyed by everyone, because the idea is that you can go back through the dungeon and back through the caves at a later stage after you've completed the boss, and it will be a much more pleasant experience because you'll have all this beautiful lightstone everywhere and nature, and it will be a lot more warming and nice to be there once you've actually completed it. When I talked about this lamp in a previous video, some people didn't like how sort of random it was, so I built this little balcony to make it have a little bit more purpose. I just don't like having lightstone there. I think a lamp just gives off much nicer light, so I made it work how I could. And the next addition is someone wanted a bridge that you could upgrade. So here you go, here is your bridge that you can upgrade. Funnily enough, I had actually started working on a system like this to implement. A long time ago, I had ideas to sort of have all sorts of elements all throughout the game that are just sort of modular, where you can pick what resources, well, I can pick what resources and items and quests and things it takes to unlock or upgrade an item, and then you can walk up to it and repair it or upgrade it. And this can work in tons of different ways, like repairing this bridge, which could give access to a new mining area, or upgrade the visuals of something in the town, or whatever it may be. It will look far better than what you just saw, so I'll have particles, maybe some sort of animation of it getting built, or whatever it may be. So the basic shell for that system all works. But leading on from that, I'd love to get your opinions on this specific area along with a few other areas in the cave. So like I just said, you'll be able to repair that bridge and then get access to a little section of the cave, which will, I guess, have better resources, and it will just be a better place to go mining. You may have noticed that sort of lake. I turned that off. I was showing you guys that in the last video. For now, I don't know if I want a lake there or not. But yeah, I'd like to get your ideas on what I could have there to make it a bit more special for when someone actually first gains access to that area, as well as this little part here. I built this little sort of trail leading down to this platform. I just really like the look of it. I wanted to work something special down into that area, maybe make it branch off into more areas. I'm not sure. I like the size of the cave and the way it is now. I don't want it to be too much bigger, because it's also just more work for me to make it. But I'd love to get your opinions on how to, as well as how to fill out the area on the left there. I think it could maybe do with a bit more detail, but I'm going to take you over to the dungeons anyway, because I've built a new little puzzle section that I'll quickly show you. The dungeons will be comprised of 2 major aspects, fighting and then puzzles. So like you can see here, this is actually a little dart trap puzzle. So there will be pressure plates like I'm standing on right now, and that will actually trigger these little sort of dart traps that I just jumped on. And it's a simple puzzle, but it's more or less parkour more than a puzzle. But there'll be all sorts of little things all like this throughout the game. Some will actually be puzzles that will be hard to solve and you'll have to figure it out. Some will be just little things like this, a bit more like sort of like hazards than puzzles, I guess. And down below where you can see all the wispy black stuff will be all sorts of little enemies that will attack and nibble at your ankles if you fall down. But it's sort of more of like a skill-based sort of parkour, like movement puzzle, where you'll have to get the right timing and learn when the dart traps sort of fire off so you can actually get through and get to the next area. Like I said before, there will be a lot more puzzles like this and even harder and different than this. Martin's actually working on a set of tools for us to create all sorts of very, very detailed puzzles, almost like Minecraft, Redstone, or I think it's Little Big Planet, the level creator, where we can create very detailed elements that actually all interact and do things and unlock and affect all sorts of items all over the map. But yeah, there's a lot more to the dungeon that I've added. You may have noticed that big room at the end there. I'm assuming you guys can guess what's going to be in that big room. I've also got this big dead area to the left that I need to work out what I need to put in there. So if you have any ideas for the dungeon areas, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to get all of your feedback. If you haven't joined the Discord, there's a Discord server in the link in the description as well, where you can give me all your ideas on that. And as always, everybody, I hope you have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next video.